You know, we've all been told that getting your finances in order is just a matter of discipline, right? That if you just had more willpower, you'd save more and spend less. Well, today we're going to tear that popular advice apart. We're going to explore why it's mostly wrong and how a simple feature of your brain can unlock a way smarter path to building wealth.
Okay, let's just get right into it with something I'm sure sounds familiar. It's the beginning of the year, you're all fired up, you decide to do a no-buy January. The rules are super strict, the goal is crystal clear, but then, by week 3, you're just exhausted. You feel deprived, and maybe you've already slipped up. It's this super frustrating cycle that leaves so many of us feeling like we're just failures with money.
But what if I told you that that whole struggle has almost nothing to do with your character or your level of discipline? Seriously. The real reason these brute force methods almost always fail is rooted in a cognitive pattern that is totally predictable. The problem isn't you, it's the system you're trying to force on yourself.
So, let's start by digging into what I like to call the willpower trap, and why just gritting your teeth and trying harder is, honestly, a losing strategy when it comes to your finances.
I mean, think about it. These really strict rules, they demand constant self-control. But here's the thing psychologists have known forever. Willpower is a finite resource. It's like a muscle that gets tired. And life is messy and unpredictable, right? An unexpected expense pops up. And when you break just one of those rigid rules, it's so easy to feel like you've failed completely and just say, forget it. And then what happens when the challenge is finally over? Usually, a massive wave of rebound spending to make up for feeling so deprived.
So if raw willpower isn't the answer, what is actually going on in our brains? Well, it all comes down to this core concept called decision fatigue.
Right, so the formal definition is up there, but I want you to think of it like this. Your brain has a daily budget for making good decisions. Every single choice you make, from what to wear in the morning to whether or not you grab that coffee, it spends a tiny bit of that budget. By the end of the day, when your decision-making budget is running low, your brain starts looking for shortcuts. And that, right there, is when those impulsive, not-so-great financial choices tend to happen. And what's so cool about this is this powerful, non-financial example. Why did people like Barack Obama and Steve Jobs famously wear the exact same outfit every single day? It was not a fashion statement, I promise you. They were strategically getting rid of trivial decisions so they could save all that precious mental energy for the choices that actually mattered. They were actively fighting decision fatigue before it was even a buzzword.
And this idea, it leads us to this absolutely fascinating real-world phenomenon, the power of defaults. It turns out our tendency to just take the easy way out, it doesn't just affect small choices. No, it shapes our behavior on a massive scale. So, check this out. Researchers looked at data from a bunch of big companies that changed just one tiny thing about their 401k retirement plans. And what they found, well, it completely flipped our understanding of savings behavior on its head. And this chart just illustrates their findings so perfectly. Under the old system, where employees had to physically go and sign up for the plan, participation was kind of meh, around 40%. But, and this is the kicker, when companies switched to automatic enrollment, where you were in the plan unless you actively went and opted out, participation skyrocketed to over 85%. The default option completely changed everything. In fact, and one company they studied, this single change led to a 48 percentage point increase in participation. That is not a small nudge. That's a monumental shift in human behavior, all because the easiest option, doing absolutely nothing, was changed from not saving to saving.
Okay, so getting people in the door was a huge win. But the story doesn't stop there. The really crucial question is, how much were they actually saving?
And this is the other side of the coin. A staggering 80% of all these newly enrolled employees, they just stuck with whatever the company's default savings rate was, which was often a really low 2 or 3%. They didn't make an active choice to save more, they just went with the path of least resistance.
So here's the big takeaway. Our environment and its default settings often have way more influence over our actions than our conscious intentions do. We are literally wired to follow the easy path. So the question becomes, how can we rig the game so the best financial path is also the easiest one? This all leads us to the solution. Instead of relying on force, which is just willpower, we can use a much smarter strategy. Let's call it friction over force. Let's just compare these two approaches side by side. The old way, that's a constant battle, right? It's all about self-control, and it usually leads to guilt. The new way is about designing a system that works with your brain's natural tendencies. You make the good choices automatic, and you make the bad choices just a little bit harder. You make progress effortless. So how do you actually do this stuff? Here are a few practical steps. The most powerful one by far is to automate your savings. Just set up an automatic transfer for the day you get paid so you pay your future self first without even having to think about it. Next, reduce temptation. Go on a massive unsubscribing spree from all those retail marketing emails that just create urges you don't need. And finally, you have to create fun money, a dedicated, totally guilt-free fund for whatever you want. This is what prevents that feeling of deprivation that causes you to break all your rules in the first place.
Now let's really focus on adding friction, because this is a total game changer. The goal is just to make impulse spending slightly inconvenient. That's it. Delete the Amazon app from your phone. Go into your browser settings and remove your saved credit card. Every extra click, every extra step of having to get up and find your wallet, that is a precious moment of pause. It's a chance for your rational brain to catch up with your impulse.
Okay, let's bring this all together. It's time to stop fighting your own brain and start designing a better financial system for yourself.
If there is one single thing you take away from this explainer, let it be this. Stop trying to be a financial hero with an endless supply of willpower. It doesn't exist, and it's an exhausting and totally ineffective way to live your life.
The smarter, more sustainable approach is to become an architect of your choices, your defaults, and your environment. You can design a system where saving is the easy, automatic choice, and mindless spending, well, that just requires a little bit more effort.
So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. What is one default setting in your financial life that you can change right now, today, to make your future self wealthier without even thinking about it?